talk about a kind of a bit of a history, some emotions, sort of like a combination of things. So maybe shed some light on the plot of the movie.
It's too early for me to reveal the plot. I'm coming to US in next couple of days.
Yes.
I will be able to see the film and know the plot, but I can tell you the theme of the film.
The theme, sorry, yes.
The theme I can tell you. See, like Kashmir. We used to hear Kashmir has problem and everybody said, it's about terrorism. But nobody told us that why this terrorism exists for so long. Why can't it be stopped? What are the reasons? What is the real politics of Kashmir? That information was not with us. Right now, Bengal, everybody knows that Bengal is one of the most politically violent states. Bengal has the maximum incidence of communal violence in that state. It has issues of demographic change. It has issues of state-sponsored Gundaism, which is called Tolibazi in Bengali. It's a legit term in Bengal. So as a young person can ask, but why we can't stop it? Where is it coming from? What stops? Why are we so helpless? So the theme of the film is that India's partition took place because of communal politics, because of the appeasement, because of the hatred. So both the parties, Muslim League and Congress, they decided, and the British Empire, the mighty British Empire of that time, 3 parties were involved in that. They decided, if we make 2 different countries, one for Muslims, one for Hindus, then this constant communal politics, violence and loss of life and property will be stopped. And these people will live peacefully. Even Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar wrote a book, Thoughts on Pakistan. He also said, if you separate these 2 communities, there'll be peace. Jinnah said there'll be peace. Viceroy said there'll be peace. Nehru said there'll be peace. All these greatest of the leaders said there'll be peace. But despite the independence, 78 years later, the communal violence has only increased. It has not subsided. Bengal still has exactly the same communal politics. And the demographic change, what was taking place in Kashmir, same kind of patterns emerged in Bengal. I'll give you one small example. What is the reason? Recently, just a couple of years back, some journalists from Pakistan came to Calcutta from the Dawn newspaper. The mayor of Calcutta, he's called Bobby, that's his nickname. He took those journalists to an area, locality in Calcutta, and he said, come, let me show you mini Pakistan. And he took and showed it as a matter of pride. Like you take and say, hey, come on, I'll show you Empire State Building, or I'll show you something. Or in Delhi, you say, we'll show you India Gate. Like that, he took them and showed them mini Pakistan, said, you'll be happy to see that we also have a mini Pakistan here. Now you tell me, in independent India, after 78 years, how is it possible? Yeah. Right? So Murshidabad, slowly it has become like 70% Muslim population. I am not against Muslims. Absolutely not. I have no problems. I have grown up in Bhopal. Bhopal had huge Muslim population. Hindus were very minimal, but that was organic. Here in Bengal, it's not organic. It is by design. So the theme of the film is that why is it that 70 years later, after the independence, there is no peace and the communal violence is at its peak? There is not even one day in Bengal you will find that there is no communal violence. So that is the broad, I would say, the theme of film. But when you see this film, you learn about that the kind of Hindu genocide which has taken place in 1946, 16th August, which was the direct action day. And then again as a revenge in Noakhali, what was the politics behind it? And does that politics still exist? Is it that only faces have changed and names have changed, but the same game is still on? That is the theme of the film.
Yeah, so let's talk about just the direct action day for a second, because some of our viewers, our folks may be, second gen or third gen. They don't know what direct action day is or the Noakhali riots. So maybe you want to just talk about it a little bit, saying, okay, what happened in 1946 in August? What actually happened, and why was this a huge deal in terms of the genocide of the Hindus?
Okay. So, people who don't know, there were two parties, Congress and Muslim League. Muslim League was headed by Muhammad Ali Jinnah, and Muhammad Ali Jinnah wanted the creation of Pakistan, and they wanted Bengal to be included in Pakistan, and especially Calcutta, because Calcutta was the cultural capital, social capital, financial capital, industrial capital. It was one of the richest and one of the most important cities of the world, and so he wanted to include that, which was very difficult. And the population was divided almost roughly 50-50, Hindus and Muslims. So then he announced that now there will be either divided India or destroyed India. And as a strategy, as a tactic, he announced direct action day on 16th of August. Because 16th of August, that was a Ramzan period, Ramadan as it's called in America. It was a Ramadan period. And 16th August is a very auspicious day because on that day, Battle of Badr took place, where Muhammad Sahib with his 313 people, they defeated Kafirs, means Buddha-parast, means people who worship idols. So he killed them and they defeated them and they won the war. So he said that 16th August is an auspicious day. This day, we will go for direct action day. Now, Bengal became the laboratory or the war zone for this, the playground for this, the Hindu genocide, because the chief minister of Bengal, Suhrawardi, he wanted to annihilate Hindus from Bengal. So he declared holiday for 2 days, and he ordered the police that no action will be taken against any Muslim, even if they are killing Hindus. And the police jeeps, police car, police guns, police was employed, to help the Muslim League kill Hindus. And not only that, you won't believe that out of 24 police stations, at that time there were 24 police stations in Calcutta. In 22 police stations, they were all Hindu inspectors. They were transferred and Muslim inspectors were appointed, and 2 police stations had Anglo-Indian inspectors, the Thana in charge. And that's when genocide started. And according to the governor of a British Empire, some 40,000 people were killed in 4 days. First 2 days, only Hindus were killed. Only Hindus were killed. The streets were full with their, I will show in my film the real pictures and how we have created them. So the streets were full of skeletons. There were vultures sitting and eating whatever flesh remained, from bodies. After 2 days, there was a gentleman called Gopal Patha. His name was Gopal Mukhopadhyay. He was a Brahmin, but he owned a meat shop. He united all the Hindus, and he said, whoever specializes in whatever thing, let's get united. Hindus were all fragmented. He even brought Sikhs into it. So the Sikh community, the Yadav community, the Jain community, the Marwari community, all kinds of communities, they got united, and then they fought back, they retaliated. And once Hindus got united, the retaliation was so huge that Muslim League had to surrender on the 4th day. Army was called, and Suhrawardi was declared Butcher of Bengal. Mahatma Gandhi came and he said everybody should surrender their arms. Gopal Patha refused to surrender his arms. He said, even if I have used a nail to protect my Hindu brothers and daughters and women, my sisters, I will not even surrender them. So after they got defeated, then they said, now we'll take revenge in a Muslim-dominated area. So they chose Noakhali. See, Noakhali is a Bengali word, means new village. It's a Hindu word. But because of systematic, by design, demographic change, it had become 80% Muslim population by then. So they went for the annihilation of 20% Hindu population. And if people who know history, they will know that when India got independence, Gandhi was there for 6-7 months. He was in Noakhali. It was such a huge genocide that Gandhi, who was always propagating Hindu-Muslim unity, had to say, Hindus, run away from Noakhali or be prepared to die. It was a headline on New York Times. When you see the film, you'll see all these facts over there, documentary evidences in the feature film. So this is how Direct Action Day led. because of Direct Action Day, partition happened. Otherwise, it would have been a different story. And then after a few days, the Direct Action Day came to be known in the world, all over the world globe, as Great Calcutta Killings. If that time the politics was different, but if honestly speaking, it should have been called Great Calcutta Hindu Killings.
Indeed. Indeed. And I remember when we were talking earlier, you had mentioned about that whole scene of vultures. So I went back and actually started to do research. And there are so many like gory pictures. Whatever, obviously social media or any of that other stuff was not there at that time, but whatever pictures are available, you saw like, it's just skeletons rotting, vultures eating them. It's horrible. But what's interesting is to me is like how this even in India, I talk to people sometimes and they're not even aware of this, sort of the details behind it. So I think the movie that's coming out is going to show. I know there have been some movies that have actually focused on that. My dad was telling me, I already saw the Bengal Files. I'm like, that's not possible. So that he turned on like this other movie and it was like some Bengal 1947 or something else. And I'm like, no, it's not the same movie. It's a different movie. So then I realized that there have been a few things. So how would this movie be sort of different? What is the angle that this movie is taking versus maybe some other movies that may have come out?
See, okay, so your question has the answer in it. Okay, tell me something. Will you ever find a Jew who doesn't know about Holocaust?
No.
Can you ever find a black person, American African, will you ever find who doesn't know about slavery?
No.
How is it then that Indians don't know about it? The answer is because nobody told us. And people who were trying to tell, they were punished or they were censored. Because somehow, and I won't blame, after the partition, there was so much of violence. If you read, it was one of the most violent incident of human history, India's independence. And some 20 million people were displaced. Nowhere in the history something like that has happened. People were guilty, leaders were guilty, and they didn't want people to know the true story. So they started painting a very rosy picture, a different kind of thing. We started celebrating greatness of our leaders. But if these leaders were so great, if they were such great leaders, why couldn't they stop this insane, inhuman killing? Right? So even in Bengal, the younger generation doesn't know about it. We have interviewed the victims of Direct Action Day. They are almost 100 years old now. We have recorded on video all those interviews. We are releasing a documentary soon in which we are going to show all the interviews. So those people remember, but not most of the people remember these kind of things. I went to Calcutta, gave a speech to young people. They had no clue about Direct Action Day. Their parents never told them because it's a sad story. And after that, nobody teaches in colleges. It's not like Jews are taught about how Holocaust are told and books are written. So we ignored this incident somehow. The movies you're talking about, which are made, they're like just wishy-washy kind of things. They have approached very superficially. So what makes the Bengal Files a very, very unique, and people who have seen my cinema, they know I never shy away from speaking the truth the way it is. I don't wishy-washy. I'm unapologetic because I think truth should be told in its raw form because that is truth. Anything else is hypocrisy. If you soften the truth, if you soften the edges of the truth, then it's hypocrisy. Then you are trying to please somebody. Truth should provoke. If it is not provoking, there is no truth. Right? So this film will tell you the truth of Hindu genocide in its purest raw form. And there is a lot of research gone behind it. And first time you'll see the real side of Gandhi, real side of Jinnah, real side of Suharawardhi, real side of everything. And it will also alarm you. It will connect much larger theme. It will connect you with the Kashmir story because people have seen Kashmir Files. They know what happened in Kashmir. Nobody wants another repetition of Kashmir. But when you'll see this film, you will realize that Kashmir is being repeated in Bengal and Bengal is ours. When we think about Bengal, lots of times people think, oh, it's some other state, theek hai, ho raha hai, hame kya lena dena hai? I live in Haryana, I live in Punjab, I live in Rajasthan, Maharashtra, how does it matter? For the first time after seeing this film, you'll sit up and say, no, it is it is my heritage, this is my ancestry. It is Bharat. We have to save Bengal. The mistake we made in Kashmir, we are not going to make it in Bengal. And also people will be proud of the great history and heritage of Bengal. I don't want to reveal much because I want the film to surprise you and shock you and haunt you.
You obviously this film has its own, I'm sure there were challenges. I want to understand what were some of the challenges that you encountered, whether, on the political side of things, on the social side of things, etc., when making this movie?
See, I know normally filmmaking itself is a challenge, but the kind of movies I make is very, very challenging because they are very politically sensitive issues. Some party or the other is definitely going to be hurt. Okay, and they are not going to like it. So if I speak from Congress's point of view, then other party gets upset if I speak. So in partition, if I say Congress was right, Muslim League will get upset. So when Muslim League means the Muslims will get upset. If I say no, Congress was wrong, then Congress gets upset. So somebody is going to get upset. That is the beauty and the quality of truth. Truth always upsets somebody. Lie does not upset anybody. You can always say, oh, everybody in this room is a wonderful person. Nobody will mind it. But if you say out of 10, 9 people are very good people, 1 person is a liar, then he's going to get upset. So the challenge was how to speak this truth, in the purest form. That was a very big challenge. Second problem was where to shoot the film. It's about Bengal. It should be shot in Bengal. But the chief minister said she will not allow me in Bengal. So it became very challenging. So we had to recreate the Bengal, that era, and today's Bengal, Murshidabad, everything in Bombay. And which is not the happiest thing to do as a filmmaker. But luckily, because of the blessings of Ma Kali, when you will see the film, you won't even realize that it's not real Bengal. That was very challenging. And the third challenge was that it was a very painful journey for everybody. It also made us very angry, very, very angry, that how come the world's almost, it was in top 5 industrial cities, Calcutta, cultural cities, education-wise, you name the area, it was one of the top cities in the world. If we had just maintained Calcutta and Bengal, I am telling you, it would have, even now, it would have been one of the greatest states, but we let it collapse because of this dirty, sinister communal politics. So it makes you very angry at the end of it. So this film, you will cry, but in the end, you'll be very, very angry. You won't know what to do now. So that is what I wanted to create, a situation where audience starts thinking what should they do and how to save Bharat from communal politics.
No, that's a very good point. And I think a lot of times we, as Hindus or in general, we suppress our transgenerational trauma because people don't want to talk about it. Oh, it's okay, things happen, etc. But if you look at other communities, like you said, examples, right? And I'll give you one example. Over the past several years, the role of the church in Holocaust, for example, has been coming out more and more. And classified documents, or now declassified documents from the Vatican, for example, all of these things have brought up how various sort of parts of the church were complicit with what Hitler was doing. Some of them actually fought back, no doubt about that, but there's a whole group of people, bishops and sort of clergy in general, that were complicit and even supporting this issue. So the sort of like this truth reconciliation moment is also happening when it comes to Holocaust and the Nazi regime and things like that. I think that when it comes to Hindus, a lot of times we are shy from really embracing the truth. It's uncomfortable. The truth is uncomfortable, but we have to understand what happened to our ancestors, what happened to our people. It's not whoever has played a role, they have to be called out. It's uncomfortable. That doesn't mean we are labeling all communities or everybody who's complicit to this, the entire religion or entire community. That's never the case. We should never be doing that. But at the same time, it's important for us to highlight what happened, who did it, why it happened. So I'm glad that this movie is bringing some of those things out. And of course, everything comes with challenges. Our work in general comes with a lot of challenges, as you're aware. So this is crucial for us, Vivek ji. I think it's really where I'm seeing the fact that, this is now creating more and more buzz around it. And I do feel that the movie is just the beginning, right?
Yeah.
I think the movie is sort of setting a stage for a further narrative. And I'm hoping that through your movies, and it's not just a movie you mentioned, and I'm really intrigued. Can you talk about a little bit about that documentary that you just mentioned about all the people that you have interviewed? When are you expecting that to come out? What is it like? How is it going to be? How big is it going to be? Any ideas, maybe?
See, we thought we make a 20-30 minute documentary, but that will be doing injustice, because it's 5 years of research. So these are like, in fact, we interviewed lots and lots of old people in Assam, Tripura, Indo-Bangladesh border, some in Delhi, some in Calcutta, in lots of different states. And a lot of people don't have memories. I mean, they have, some people had dementia, and very old people, almost 100-year-old. But lots of them had photographs, and documents and letters of that time, lots of reportage. And so these are, most of the interviews are in Bengali. So we have all those video interviews, tons of research and material we have got, incidents, all those things. So we thought we'll make a short film, but now suddenly we have become ambitious. And so work is going on right now in my studio. I think it's going to be a longer format. So I'm making one short format, concise version, and I'm making a longer version. And then I realized that one of the best ways to put all the data and research is in a book form. So I've written a book, and its foreword is written by Sopan Das Gupta. That book is called Bengal, the Blood Republic. And I think it will be published around the time when film comes, or maybe after that. And if it comes later, I'll come back to America, to do a very informal kind of tour with the book. So that's what I've done. I've done a multimedia thing. We are making documentaries. We are taking social media. This thing, if you see right now on my social media accounts, we are running true stories of that time in a Bande Matram newspaper, a neutral newspaper, which used to be. So we are putting all those headlines so that people become aware of what all happened at that time. So this is my plan. One thing I want to add, you were talking about trauma. I think no parent in India tells their children, which they should. In the history of humankind, there has been only one society which was enslaved and brutally tortured, where their rights were taken away, enslaved, I'm saying, for 1,000 years by two different forces, two different faith groups, two different religions. First by Islamic forces, later on by Christian forces. First by kings, later by imperialists. Both very powerful people, dictator kind of a setup, for 1,000 years. In Calcutta, in Bengal, there were boards written Nikunji, you won't believe it. I was crying. I've got those boards from some antique shop. We have used them, we polished them, used them in our film. They said dogs and Indians not allowed. It does not even give you dignity that Indians and dogs not allowed. It said dogs comes first. Dogs and Indians. It was a deliberate humiliation. For 1,000 years, we were enslaved. Any other slavery's histories of few hundreds of years. That's it. This is 1,000 years. We were the richest country. We were controlling 1/4 of the world's GDP. We were made bankrupt and the poorest country by the time Britishers left us. We had one of the best architecture in the world. It was all broken, destroyed, because our architecture was associated with gods and religion. So Muslims destroyed all that. Christians also destroyed that. Our culture, our values, our books were changed. Our history was changed. Our religious texts were changed. Lot of fault lines emerged, like Sati Pratha, Ghungat, all those kind of things started happening. No other women community in the world has been tortured. Criminal crime against women, if you go by numbers, for 1,000 years our women were tortured, raped. Our buildings were destroyed. And after that, we have got freedom only 78 years. We are a very young country. We have just started crawling, right? This history should not be taught only to Indian Hindu kids. It should be taught to the world. People should know what it means to be enslaved for 1,000 years. Hindus, I don't know why, never ever discuss this trauma. And that's why our newer generation has no connect with our history. And this is one of the major purpose and mission why I'm making these films, to make the younger generation aware. And I would suggest that anybody who's coming to see the film in US, they must bring their teenager, young kids and make them see them.
I agree. I mean, this is exactly the type of, we suppress this. We talked about a transnational, there's a whole psychology. Many have talked about a transgenerational trauma, how they actually suppress things, etc. Some communities have done a better job. Other communities, like the Hindus, either out of being scared, being lethargic, whatever different, things that you want to say, we have not been able to talk. Like Calcutta was also like the great Bengal famines, right? I mean, people talk about economics, right? Think about the destruction of the Bengal, like what happened with Indian economy with the Bengal famine, and what happened to the Hindus, the people in general, not just Hindus, but people in general. So all these things, to be very, I learned about this thing just not very long time ago. I learned about this like maybe a decade ago and stuff like that. And I remember when I was a kid, there's a movie Mard. I don't know if you remember, like with Amitabh Bachchan. It wasn't
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it was. There was actually a scene from there's like a swimming pool where he's walking and he's like, it says dogs and Indians not allowed. I still remember. So that's, I was like, that's what kind of gave me a curiosity. I'm like, why is this sign saying dogs and Indians not allowed? That time I was very, very young, when I was in India. So that kind of gave me a curiosity as to why this type of behavior was meted to our people. So I'm really happy that you're bringing that out. Now, what are the lessons? Just to kind of wrap up a question from in terms of me. Someone asked a question here. Says, the lessons of obviously what happened in Bengal. Then, how does it apply today to 2025? It continues on. There's different types of violent behavior, waves of violence against our community, whether it's in Bangladesh, which is today, used to be in Bengal, or in present day Bengal or other parts. What are the lessons for us to keep in mind?
Okay, so Bengal is the only state which has been divided 3 times. First in 1905, 1905, it was divided into Muslim Bengal and Hindu Bengal. Then in 1947, again it was divided. But because of the retaliation from the great leaders of Bengal, Sri Aurobindo especially, and all these people, Britishers were forced to reunite Bengal. Then 1947, it was divided again. In 1971, again it was divided again. Culturally, definitely. And it is again on the verge of, it is almost psychologically, socially divided, not politically, but it's on the verge. A very Kashmir kind of a situation is emerging over there. The lesson to learn is that when we ignore something, we not just lose the land, we lose a part of our civilization. You lose a part of your identity. And it's very important to face the history. And unless you are aware, what will you do? Now tell me something. Today, a black young boy in US, will he ever succumb to another kind of slavery? Never. A Jew, will he ever tolerate any kind of suppression or oppression? But Indians do. Indians do. Because they are not aware of their heritage, the civilizational trauma. So now Kashmiri young boys, I was doing a podcast yesterday with young Kashmiri, America-born Kashmiri young Pandits, and they will never ever let anybody do what was done to their parents. They were committed to that. I meet so many younger Kashmiri Pandits. After seeing the film, they said, oh, my parents never told me this. And they went, did a lot of research and dug out a lot of information. They said, now we stand committed that we will never let anybody do this to us. So when you see the Bengal files, I promise you, you will say, no, I'm not going to let this happen. So that's the lesson I've learned. Because now I'm committed. I will not let anybody do something like that to me or my children. 10 years ago, it was a different story.
Yeah, that's why it's called the never again, right? So
Yeah.
never again. And I agree with you. And this is one of the reasons why we, CoHNA has been at the forefront of these things, bringing out the Kashmir issue, the Bengal Hindu genocide. Many of the Bangladeshi, the whole sort of what happened to the Bangladeshi Hindus at the hands of Pakistan. All of those things are really, really crucial, because it's not about blaming any communities or blaming anybody, but understanding what happened to our people. Because as you said, if we ignore it, it's gonna, it has an impact. But I also feel that it actually enables it. If you stop saying never again, it actually puts a, when you give in to bully, when you just ignore a bully, when you give in, the bully continues to push you until your very own psyche is damaged. And if we stop saying never again, hey, stop this, we're not going to let this happen again. We're going to make sure that this narrative is put out there in a firm way, truth to be told as is. Because at the end of the day, when we are fighting for dharma, you have to be very, very clear, very sincere, and very direct. So really important. Once someone asked a question, actually, the photographs that you were talking about, etc., are they going to be archived somewhere for future generations? Are you creating like a website, or is there a plan to do that?
Yeah, but see, I have a limited bandwidth, I'm doing a whole lot of writing a book in the meantime, doing this tour, giving speeches all over. I am planning to do, but I am not a very high-tech person. I am seeking help from some people. I've spoken to some people. If somebody helps me create a website, I would like to create a digital museum of Hindu genocide, not Kashmir or Bengal, wherever, Mopla, Kashmir, even in Punjab, during terrorism, so many Hindus were killed and there too. So I would like to create a Hindu genocide, and through your medium, if somebody is willing, I am willing to give all the intellectual and creative support, but technology, somebody has to help me, create it.
Where should they get in touch with you?
Nothing. I'm the easiest person to get in touch. Just send me a direct message on any social media platform. If not Perfect. Today, tomorrow, in 5-7 days, I always get to read all of them. And I respond to people. In fact, most of the people I meet and do work with, they come to me through social media.
Awesome. Great. Let's see. Some people have said, when is I would say there are other things that people want you to do from a project perspective, but naturally speaking, so many things you can't handle. Oh yeah, just by the way, somebody said that where can we find this? So go to CoHNA.org/the Bengal Files. If you can just go there, you'll find all the different movies that are being screened in the US. And so we're really excited to have you, Vivek Ji. I'm going to be seeing you personally again next week. That's when the whole tour begins. 18th, we have an event at Rutgers University, and then 19th is when we start our New Jersey premiere. So those of you who are in the New Jersey, New York, sort of Eastern Pennsylvania area, please join us at our first premiere here in New Jersey. It'll be on in Lowe's AMC, New Brunswick, from 2 p.m. onwards. So try to make it by 1 p.m. there, and we'll also have a VIP dinner as well there. So once again, I want to thank Vivek Ji for joining us, giving us his precious time. He's extremely busy, getting ready, literally packing up to come over here and really shake the U.S. with all this very important the title he has. If Kashmir was disturbing you, like Bengal is going to haunt you, basically. So I'm hoping that this truth really comes out, and we have a very important dialogue with everybody who's not just Hindu, but also like mainstream Americans who are interested in understanding. Some folks who said, hey, how come not Canada? But maybe next time, Vivek Ji, you can think about Canada as well. But once again, I want to thank you all for joining us today. I want to thank Vivek Ji for joining us for this webinar, and go to CoHNA.org/the Bengal Files to understand where all these shows are happening. So thank you, and namaste all for joining us today.
Thank you, Niman.
All right.